Under the primetime lights, it's a showdown we've all had circled since the start of the season. Broncos at Saints. Sean Payton versus Dennis Allen. If we know anything about these two, the only focus in this one is on a win. It's sure to be an electric atmosphere with legendary quarterback Drew Brees going into the Saints Hall of Fame at the half. Can Spencer Rattler and the Saints offense deliver some fireworks? Will the defense get back to their old ways and tie up the Broncos? It's time, Saints fans, to win again. Welcome into our Saints pregame show. Alongside our Saints senior writer, John DeShazer, I'm Erin Summers. This one is a Thursday night matchup, which means it'll be on Amazon Prime. If you're here locally, you can watch it on WDSU as well. We're all looking forward to it. It is a big matchup. There are so many storylines going into this one, starting with former Saints head coach Sean Payton being back in the building alongside over a dozen former Saints staffers and players that are now on the Broncos. And then at halftime, legendary quarterback Drew Brees, he's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. So there's just a lot around this game that has absolutely nothing to do with the game, JD.
Yeah, well, Drew Brees going into the Saints Hall of Fame is anticlimactic. We knew that was going to happen since 2009. What we didn't know was the kind of person Drew Brees was that he would draw players to the Saints, including Mario Davis, who said he joined the Saints because of Drew Brees. John Vilma said he joined the Saints because of Drew Brees. A lot of free agents, Darren Sproles, joined the Saints because of Drew Brees. Just a fantastic person, fantastic player. Obviously led the Saints to the Super Bowl. So everything you could want in a player, Drew Brees was for the entirety of his Saints career.
They had a really great luncheon for him today as they honored Drew Brees. And you have covered both for a while. And Coach Payton, you know him pretty well. How is he walking in here today?
Well, he's walking in here as a guy who's 3-3. You know, he believes a lot in Bill Parcells. He's a Bill Parcells disciple. And Bill Parcells will say, you are what your record says you are. They're 3-3. The Saints, unfortunately, are 2-4. So he's not the happiest guy in the world because he understands they are riding mediocrity right now, 500. And yet, he wants to win as bad as the Saints want to win. Now, of course, you want to win just because it's the next game, but look, there's a little bit of fire in Sean Payton. We know how petty he can be. We know how, I don't want to say vindictive, but look, he understands that winning in New Orleans on his old stomping ground means something, not just to him, but to the Denver Broncos fan base probably. And the Saints fans obviously want the opposite. They're probably cheering. You should cheer the guy who's the all-time winner in Saints history in terms of playoff wins, regular season wins. He's the best coach in franchise history. And yet, you shouldn't want anything more than to kick us behind while he's in here and get him out of town and get him back to Denver.
The Saints desperately need a win right now. They are 2-4 on a 4-game losing streak, and they're going to have to do it once again without their starting quarterback, Derek Carr, who continues to be out with that oblique injury. So it is rookie quarterback Spencer Rattler again at the helm today. What can we expect to improve for Rattler from game 1 to game 2 here?
Well, I think you can open up the playbook a little bit more, but I'm not exactly sure how much you can open it because of the losses on offense. So how do they handle that? I think we'll see maybe a little bit more mobility, getting him around them in the pocket, rolling him out, maybe some design scrambles because he does have that mobility, and I think that can add something to the Saints offense, especially if Alvin Kamara is banged up. We know he's got a hand injury among other injuries. Taysom Hill's not going to play in this game. So you have to have something to help with the run game, but also think maybe he incorporates the tight ends a little bit more. Now, he did a nice job with Juwan Johnson and Foster Morrow in the last game. They combined for 5 catches, 102 yards. So he did a nice job with the tight ends in the last game. He might have to lean on them a little bit more in this game because of the losses on offense.
With that run game, the Saints only 81 yards on the ground against the Bucs in the last game. Alvin Kamara had a season-low 13 carries for 40 yards. What do the Saints need to do to get into rhythm?
Well, they got to block better. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And understand they have losses along the offensive line, but they've got to be able to maintain the game plan. This is a stretch zone team when they like to run and when they're able to create those seams. Now, of course, you're playing opposing teams that know that that's what you want to do, and they know when 41's on the field to target 41 and take him out of the game if you can, especially in a game like this where you're not going to have Chris Olave, you're not going to have Rashid Shaheed at receiver. So Alvin Kamara is going to be the target of the Denver defense, and the Denver defense is one of the best in the league. The top 5 in scoring defense, top 5 in total yards allowed, top 5 in passing yards allowed. So this is a really good Denver defense that the Saints are going to have to find a way to pierce and get some yards and some points.
Without your top 2 receivers in Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed in this one, who else steps up?
Well, you've got Cedric Wilson Jr., he's going to play some. You also have Mason Tipton, who's going to start in this game, and he'll get an opportunity as an unrestricted rookie free agent, So he'll have some opportunities. Equanimous St. Brown is going to be active for the first game this season, so you bring him off the practice squad, and you hope to be able to get something out of him. And of course, you've got the rookie 5th-round pick, Bub Means, 5 catches, 45 yards, a touchdown last week, his first NFL touchdown. He's going to talk about that and a little bit more with Aaron in the Player Spotlight, presented by Community Coffee.
Welcome to What's Brewing with wide receiver Bub Means. I'm Aaron Summers. This is presented by Community Coffee. Bub, first NFL touchdown against the Bucs this past Sunday.
Yes,
How did it live up to expectations?
Oh man, it was a feeling I can't even explain. That was just a blessing. Great play made by the quarterback, great play call, and I just executed my job.
You've gotten a lot of reps with quarterback Spencer Rattler, both rookies coming in. How did that help you guys get into rhythm on Sunday?
Well, just the chemistry we built over rookie minicamp, OTAs, veteran minicamp, and then obviously training camp. We got a lot of reps in. He know what type of cuts I'm gonna make and what type of release I like to do. So we had a lot of chemistry, and it just worked out the best for us. You feel what I'm saying? He knew where I was gonna be, made a play.
It was his first touchdown as well.
Yes, ma'am.
He got the game ball.
Oh yeah, I'm working hard about that.
What do you get?
I gotta go talk to him. We gotta cut it in half or something, because we can't just let him keep that one. That was the first of a mini, but yeah, I gotta go talk to bro about that one.
Yeah, you gotta get one this weekend.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you have to do this week to show that you're ready for a bigger role?
I just gotta keep executing my job. Like, we go over plays, we practice everything. I just gotta go out there and do my job. Like, I don't trying to do things outside of the system that leads to mistakes. So I just gotta go out there, execute my job to the best of my ability, and everything else gonna take care of itself.
You have a pretty bubbly demeanor.
Yes, ma'am.
Where does it come from?
I just try to stay positive at all times. Like, it ain't no reason for me to think of anything negative. I try to keep all negative vibes, negative energy away from me. I try to uplift everybody. Just type of person I am.
How much fun has this season been? You're still only maybe a third of the way through, but your first NFL season.
It's a learning curve for sure. I've never even been able to say that I played 3 games in 10 days, but we going on a 3rd game in 10 days. It's just the experience. I'm learning a lot. I'm growing a lot. I'm developing relationships with my teammates. I'm just enjoying the process.
Your first name is Jared?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you start going by Bub?
Actually, what's crazy is my family and them, they've been calling me Bub since I was little, yay high. So I was probably a baby when they gave me the nickname Bub. It just, when I got older, the older I got, the shorter my nickname. It started as Bubba. Bub, it went to Bub probably like 12th grade year. Like, people started shortening it, and it was a wraps after that.
All right, touchdown celebration?
Oh yeah, I didn't do one this week because I got too excited. I got too excited, forgot everything. Everything went out the window when I got in the end zone. But this week, y'all stay tuned. I'm gonna make sure, you feel me, I put on the show for y'all.
All right, there we go. This has been What's Brewing with Bub Means. For anybody going to the game today, make sure you download the Saints app presented by Verizon, log into your NFL.com account, and switch over to Dome mode, because there is where you're going to find all of the important information that you need to navigate this new and improved beautiful Superdome this season. You can also watch highlights of your favorite players throughout the game, like Bub in case he scores another touchdown. And you won't miss any of the action as far as those touchdowns, turnovers, big plays. It is an absolute must for Saints fans this season, so make sure you download that app so you have all the help that you need getting in and around this dome. And speaking of help, needed help, Saints defense definitely needs some help in lowering these yards that they've been allowing lately, and it starts with tackling. Against the Bucs, 594 yards allowed. Now through 6 weeks in the NFL, the Saints have allowed the most yards out of any team. What can they do differently with the way that they're tackling and allowing these big gains?
Well, they got to take better angles. I mean, this is a situation of physician heal thyself. They know what the issue is. So now you have to address the issue properly. If you're taking the wrong angle on tackles, it's going to be an arm tackle miss rather than to get the guy on the ground. If you're not swarming to the football, and the Saints have not been doing that properly, you got to swarm to the ball. So if the first guy does miss, you hopefully mitigate the possibility of him breaking something long, and maybe a 20-yard game is cut down to an 8-yard game, but you stay on the field, give yourself a chance to make a play on the next play. They have not been doing that well enough this season for the last couple of games, I know Coach Dennis Allen says, but this starts back with the Philadelphia game with a couple of chunk plays where they had a miscommunication, they had a couple of broken tackles, and you give up a 61-yard run and a 65-yard pass. Those things shouldn't be happening, you hope, at this point in the season, and yet they have happened. And how do you rectify that on a week where you can't really tackle in practice, you can't really practice in pads? I hope they were able to get the mental work in, because a lot of it is just a matter of taking the proper angle, getting the wrap around on the guy, and getting him on the ground. And hopefully they're able to do that, because if you're Denver, you want to just get the ball to your playmakers in space and see if the Saints miss a tackle. You watch the film, you know exactly what's going on.
It's not only those playmakers that the Saints need to be aware of. Their rookie quarterback with the Broncos, Bo Nix, he does like to scramble a little bit as well. He moves around the pocket. What can the Saints do to get him off schedule?
Well, you got to be able to surround him in the pocket. And the Saints have not done a very good job of rush lane integrity. And by that, maintain your rush lanes. I know you want to play games on the defensive line. You want to stunt and those kinds of things. But you have to maintain the integrity so the guy doesn't break through one of those alleys and get some rushing yards. And here's the thing that bothers me the most about Bo Nix lately. He had 4 interceptions combined in the first 2 games, 1 interception in the last 4 games. So you got to be able to get to him, hopefully, to force him into some errors. And right now, he's playing safe football, so the Saints have to get that safe football out of him.
Overall, though, the Broncos have not played well in the first half. They're only averaging just under 6 points a game in the first half this season. What do the Saints need to do to make sure that that trend continues?
Well, again, you got to tackle. You hopefully put some pressure on that rookie quarterback, and the way you do that is you stop the run game. Same formula every week. Stop the run game, put the ball in the hands of the quarterback, and hopefully you can get into some rush situations and get them on the ground. And that's something that the Saints have not done well the last several games. Only had 1 sack the last game, and I think they might have had 2 or 3 in a couple of games before that. They've not been getting quarterbacks on the ground. You cannot survive in the NFL as a defense if you cannot harass the opposing quarterback, and the Saints have not done enough of that.
Head coach Dennis Allen said this week he is confident that this defense can get back to the way that they are used to playing, and it all starts with the head coach. John DeSazier was able to catch up with him yesterday. Let's hear what DA had to say.
Spencer Rattler making his second start. Just what are some of the things you want to see improved from the first start?
Yeah, I think number one is doing a better job of taking care of the ball. I think that's the first thing he has to do. I think the second thing is, being able to handle the pressure, get through his progressions a little bit better. But I thought he did some good things in that first start, and hopefully he'll improve on those things, and we'll get a better performance out of him and the whole team.
Yeah. Now he'll be without top 2 receivers, Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, and Denver has one of the top pass defenses in the league. I think the top 5 in scoring defense, pass defense, and total defense. How much does it change the way you want to attack that defense, not having your top 2 receivers?
Yeah, well, look, obviously it makes it more challenging. I think they're playing exceptionally well defensively over there in Denver, and so we'll have our work cut out for us. But I think it all has to start up front. We have to be able to control the line of scrimmage, both in the run game and the passing game. And I think if we can do that, then there'll be some opportunities.
This is a next man up league. Who are some of those next men that need to step up for you that you just mentioned?
Well, look, there's a lot of them. I think the interior of our offensive line has to step up. I think they've got to play really well for us to have an opportunity to have success. I think guys like Bub Means, Mason Tipton, I think those guys need to play. Special teams, I think, needs to continue to play at a level that they have, and I think we need to play better as a whole on defense.
In a short week, there's only so much you can do, and especially you can't do a whole lot physically. And I know you mentioned that tackling was an issue the past couple of games. How much can be corrected, I guess, mentally in a short week?
Well, we'll get an opportunity to find out, on Thursday night. So, but I think our guys understand what we have to do, how we have to play, and I'm excited about the opportunity to watch them go out there and play.
Of course, this is Sean Payton's homecoming, former Saints coach. How do you separate, I guess, from the circus surrounding that and all the noise surrounding that, and get your preparation and get everybody to continually keep focused?
Yeah, look, I don't think probably inside their building or inside of our building that there's a whole lot paid attention to that. Obviously, we're all appreciative of what Sean meant to all of us here, and appreciate that. But this is a game in the National Football League, and inevitably guys move on to different areas, and it won't be the first time we've ever played against somebody that's coached here. So we're just looking forward to the competition on the field. All right. Thanks.
Head coach Dennis Allen said that the special teams unit has to continue to play how they have because they have been solid throughout the start of this season. However, they will be without their top returner in Rashid Shaheed today. How can the Saints make up for his production?
Well, hopefully Jermaine Jackson can help you some in that one. He's been added to the active roster. But let's face it, you don't replace a Rashid Shaheed. So what you can do is just be solid. You might not get a 54-yard punt return for a touchdown like Shaheed did in the previous game. But if you're just solid, you don't turn the ball over, and you want to be better probably in the punt game and the kick game where you can pin them inside the 20, force them to take the long route to the touchdowns. Also, you might be able to create a fumble in there. So maybe that's JT Gray where he can get one out of somebody's hand. But you don't expect to have a return like you have Rashid Shaheed because he is among the best in the business, if not the best in the business. So you piecemeal it around. You hope Jermaine Jackson gives you something. You also hope that maybe Cedric Wilson Jr., if he's punt returning, that he might be able to give you something in that area also.
Both of these kickers coming in here today are two that the Saints fans will be very familiar with in Will Lutz for the Broncos and Blake Grupe here with the Saints. It's going to be a fun matchup there.
Yeah, I mean, because Blake Grupe beat out Will Lutz to win the job with the Saints. And so Will Lutz obviously a little bit salty from experience. And I don't blame him. I mean, he's a veteran kicker. But all things being even, Blake Grupe was probably as effective, if not a little bit better in training camp. And the price tag was obviously right in that situation when you're talking about an undrafted kicker. So the Saints feel pretty confident about what they have. Blake Grupe's made all his field goal attempts this season. And I'm sure the Broncos feel pretty good about what they have. So hopefully it doesn't come down to that. I would love to see a blowout in the Saints' favor. I said something about a blowout in the last game. It didn't go in the Saints' favor.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the Saints run them off the court and let's get out of here.
You didn't have to clarify that it was in the Saints' favor. Okay, we're all Saints fans here. That's what we're looking forward to. Let's take a look at who is in and out for this one. We talked a little bit about a lot of the key players that the Saints have out. There's 7 starters that are not playing in this game. As you look at the Broncos side, and their cornerback in Pat Surtain is not going to be playing in this one, and he is one of the best in the league. That is a huge deal for them.
Well, it's big, but Pat Surtain is a guy who travels with the opposing team's best receiver. If you don't have Rashid Shaheed and you don't have Chris Olave, who would he have covered in this game, man-to-man, all over the field anyway? Now, that lessens the burden for the Denver secondary because obviously you miss a guy like that.
Sure.
But the Saints need somebody to step up in the place of their 2 starters. Who will it be? I think the help might have to come from the tight end area because we're talking about some young, really inexperienced green receivers who have to take the place of those guys. We're talking about a two-time 1,000-yard receiver from Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, who was heading toward his best NFL season here this season. So a lot of pressure and a lot of responsibility to Bub Means, Mason Tipton. Hopefully they can handle the duties.
Speaking of those tight ends, Juwan Johnson and Foster Moreau got really involved in the last game, so we'll definitely be looking out for some of those players to get active again here today. It is getting active inside the Dome. Lots of energy in here. The fans are coming out early for this big Thursday night matchup. It's going to be a fun one. I know there's going to be a lot of emotions throughout the game for the players, the coaches, at halftime with quarterback Drew Brees in the building. So there is a lot to look forward to. For John DeShazer, I'm Erin Summers. Catch this one 7:15 Amazon Prime, and we'll be right back here after the game, NewOrleansSaints.com for your post-game show. Go Saints!